Um, Another thing we expect the new president to do is to issue a lot of executive orders within his first 48 hours of being president. So you should expect to be fairly busy on January 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Some of this may get leaked out ahead of time, not necessarily leaked, even announced. So you might be busier then. That's going to be more like sectors. As you know, he does an executive order that reverses one thing that President Obama might have done, he'll do another. Now, an executive order to reverse something that was done by executive order doesn't happen like instantly. The executive order can be signed instantly, but typically an executive order instructs some agency of government to set up some rules and do something. And that can take 6 months, it can take a year, it can take a year and a half. So if it took a long time to put those rules in place, they're probably not going to roll off so fast either. But that's what we're expecting. So that's going to be, and we don't really know what those orders are at this point, but we'll start to find out, we think, over the next 6 weeks what he's really focused on. But that early part of this first couple of days could be quite different with this administration. Some other things that are in the headlights, the energy sector is definitely in the headlights, and there you're talking about easing certain restrictions. So if anything, U.S. energy producers might face less environmental restrictions. They might face some lower regulatory costs. The oil price was rallying today as equities came back. I wouldn't go with that over the long haul. Because if we're going to make the producer environment here, make it a little cheaper for them, they can produce a little more and make a little more money. So that's a supply thing that we could see coming in place. We do expect plenty of action in the healthcare field. You hear the Republicans talking about repealing Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. You don't repeal that act. You can't do a 3-line, it's gone kind of thing. It's thousands of pages. It's integrated into the healthcare system more than people like to understand. A lot of Trump supporters actually use that healthcare system, even if they say they don't want it, they're users. So you have to be very careful as to how you unwind it. So you're going to hear a lot of talk about repealing it, but when they actually get into the details, they're going to fight for 6, 9 months, a year over the devil in the details of how to do that. It's going to be thousands of pages of legislation. It's going to be very, very difficult. Not that they're going to do it, but it's just going to be difficult. And so that's going to affect the healthcare sector. The other ones affect the energy sector. And then we're expecting a lighter touch on financial market regulation. And some things may get rolled back there in the Dodd-Frank Act. So the banks that have had the Volcker Rule, for instance, things like that might get weakened a little bit. Bank stocks are up big today, among other things. They're certainly believing that. So those are some of the things that can happen in the legislative agenda.